Hi everyone, welcome back to Sam's Workshop. Today, we're going to be working on a Motorola HT1250. This is going to be a two-part video. This part is going to focus on programming, and the next part will focus on repairing this particular HT1250. This has been dropped and it needs some work. Also, the volume knob is broken, but we will get into that in our next video. But as for today, we're going to work on programming it using the Motorola CPS application. Now, one thing you should know about Motorola CPS is it's fairly hard to find. I'm going to put a link in the description for a cable and the software bundle that you can buy on eBay. I think it's great. I only use the software, but it's absolutely great if you want to program these. Now, without further ado, I'm going to show you how to program these on my computer. Okay, so I have my computer here, and this is the cable for the HT1250. Has 3 pins in here, and it hooks up into the mic slot right here. So there's your few pins, and this you can use either for a mic, as in the case of this radio here, or you can plug in the programming adapter, which is what we're going to do. So here's the programming adapter. You put the screw to the bottom, and you just slide this up, and you connect it as so. Now, it is important to turn the radio on. This radio's volume button does not work. Also, the battery is dead, but we are going to have to plug in a charged battery into the radio. So right here, just slide that in, and it is now on. So, and there we go. It is now on, and that beeping there, that doo-doo-doo, is signaling that the radio is on. Okay, so here is the Motorola CPS software. So, in order to read device, again, press read device here, and it's going to give you a selection of COM3. That depends what USB port you plug in the thing into. I have it in USB port 3 on my computer, so it's going to say COM3, so I just press OK. There might be different ports if you have 2 radios connected to your computer at once. I don't know why you would do that, maybe for cloning. But anyway. So the program here is loading. It takes a second for it to load depending on how full the radio is. And we get a menu here that says device at COM3 port. At the bottom here we have the free space and the time. And we have a bunch of different settings that you can do over here. But we're going to open the tree, which will open all of our different settings that we can edit. So we have radio information, so we can see what the model number is, etc. And we can see the last time it was, where the programming source was, the original programming date, so basically when the radio was manufactured, the latest programming date, and the version of the code plug, which is basically the firmware. So as you can see, this radio has been updated. It went from version 1.03 to 1.04. I don't know exactly how to update these radios. You need a different piece of software called the Field tool, and I don't really know how to get that. So that is difficult. Here in radio configuration, you can find most of your basic settings, Vox settings, transmit, inhibit stuff, different microphone configurations, alert tones. You can turn off your low battery alert if you would like to. Different monitoring settings, voice storage, microphone, and a password to lock the radio. I don't know how to exactly turn that on, but I'm sure it's something else here in the menu. In the controls and menus section, we have conversational buttons. So basically the conversational buttons are the 6 buttons that are on the front of the radio and the 3 buttons that are on the side. So the 3 buttons on the side, you can program these all individually. This is obviously the top button, so this is the orange button at the top of the radio, which is usually used for emergency. And yeah, you can also change the rotary button, which is the channel select. But you could change it to zone selection or something else if you wanted to do that. Side buttons here, basically they're the ones on the side of your PTT button. You can edit these, make this to one toggle light or radio call or call alerts or whatever, you can do that if you wish. And front buttons, of course, are the P1, P2, and P3. In menu items, you can see all sorts of utility submenus. You can disable utility. Menu items are when you press the menu button in the radio. So if you don't want someone to be able to see the software version number, you can disable that. Or language mode or whatever, you can disable that, or if you don't want it there. Settings on voice storage, the HT1250 cannot do voice storage. However, it is an option that you have, but it doesn't work. In conversational personality, here is where all your channels are, and this we will be digging into a little bit more shortly. Signaling. Signaling is basically like a way to see, it's just like different tones and stuff, and PTT IDs, so yeah, DTMF systems and stuff. That is not exactly compatible with this particular radio by the way I have it programmed. I have it on basic programming, but calling, you can set up calling lists, DTMF call, quick call, MDC call, just different things. We might talk about that in a later video. MDC messages, phone list, scan lists, we will talk with those in a bit more depth. And personality assignment to zones we will also talk about in a bit more in depth. However, I'm going to talk first about the conversational personality. So basically, conversational personality is where all of your channels are. So I have a thing here: fire primary, fire ground, apparatus, all sorts of different things for my fire department. And you can add a new channel by going into conversational personality here, selecting some random one and pressing the plus button. So this puts it 63. It doesn't really matter what number of conversational personality until you program it into the dial, which I will talk about later. So I'm just going to go over the basic way to program channels into this radio. So let's say I want to call this one fire ground, and let's say that it is 154.000. And you can put in whatever your frequency happens to be, similar, whatever the frequency is. And RX is basically what it listens to, and TX is where it transmits. So if you want to make those separate, you can. However, I would like to transmit on 154.000. Channel bandwidth, I wouldn't recommend touching unless you have newer, unless it's A, allowed by the FCC, and B, you have a newer radio with the newer code plug. These are the old code plugs, so you can't mess with channel bandwidth, but yeah. Here you can set the transmit power to high or low. You can do tight squelch if there's a lot of like stuff on the channel. Busy channel lockouts. And your transmit system here, so you can have it basically transmit an ID, and you can also have it give a repeater access ID in case that is something that you need. You can disable transmitting by clicking RX only personality. So basically receive only personality. Checking that will disable transmitting. And whenever you go to transmit, and here is one of the radios, I'm just going to go to a random channel here. It should just give me a big yeah. And that means the channel is disabled, and then you can, you can't talk on it or anything, and it gives you a little warning. So I think that's nice. But let's say I want to transmit on this frequency. High-low, transmit power, we've already talked about that. So as far as scan lists go, they're basically a way to scan a whole bunch of frequencies, and you can do this by going in the scan menu, and I'll show you about how to enable that on your radio shortly. But basically I can go to the scan list here, and let's say I want to make a new one. Again, select that. Scan list is required to be named scan list, so 16 slots, just like there's 16 on your dial. And basically, let's say I want to scan fire primary and that fire ground that I just put in, and you basically can hit the button that you have assigned to scan list on your radio, and that will allow you to scan it. However, I'm not going to do that, so I'll press that red X, and that will remove that scan list from my radio. Okay, so let's say I want to have it programmed to my dial. So here are the different zones that I have. So the zones can be accessed by pressing the menu button, going through the menu, and going to zone. You select that, and there should be, I think there would be one zone if you only had one zone in your radio, but you can add more, and that's where the many channels, more than 16 channels that this radio can receive. HT750 can only receive 16 channels, and the HT1250 can accept way more than that. Basically, as much as can be added in the free space of your radio. So let's say I want to assign it to the primary zone here. I go down and I have a whole bunch of frequencies here, and let's say I want to replace York PD with that frequency that we just added. We go down here, and there's conversational 63. Remember, it was the 63rd. I said it's not very important until you go to program it into the dial. So I do conversational 63, and there is your fireground number 3. I press close, and that will bring us back to this main menu. Now, once you're done with all of the setting of your radio, once you do all the settings and change the stuff that you want, go up here to this button right here, the computer that has the arrow going left, and that's right device. So during this thing, it's verifying that the device can accept the code plug, and it's basically checking different things, and that is how you know that it worked. Of course, it will give you any errors that come up there, and if you get any errors when you're programming your radio, let me know in the comments. I can try to help you. But right here, so we have all our multiple frequencies here, and here is, let me turn down my light here. Right here is that fire primary frequency that we just programmed. So here's fire primary, and here's the third one, fire ground, right here. And you can transmit on that. Now, some of you may be asking, how do I use my radio? And I'm just going to show you the different buttons that are on here. Right here on the side here is the PTZ button, push to talk. That is how you talk into the radio. Pretty self-explanatory. Here's your menu key, and here's your back button, so when you're in the menu. And here is your programmable buttons and your up and down button. This is the menu. These are where your scan list, view list, and then you can see all of the, you can do whatever in there. Here's your zones, and this is where you find them. It's the third option on the menu. Primary, local zone 1, 2. Those are just the different zones that I have programmed in the radio. Utilities is where you can change your squelch from tight to normal or low. You can change your clock here. As it says right here, it's 13 minutes after midnight, which is incorrect. Reminder alarms, basically reminding you that the radio is on. Squelch, that's back to our original settings. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. The part 2 will be out in a couple of weeks. I have still some parts for this particular radio that are going to be arriving late. I'll probably get part 2 out probably around next month, and we will have basically the repairing of this particular radio. Wish I could switch this off. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, and there will be more videos coming very soon.